Hi, I'm Makai Block with Limitless North. Today I want to talk with you about a poem that I read in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. This poem was a really interesting one that stood out to me the moment I read it, and I had to record it. I had to think on it and ponder it, and it just hit me so overwhelmingly because I knew that I inherently knew this information beforehand. I knew that it was something that was intuitive about it, but I had never seen it laid out quite like it was before me at this point. And so I immediately wrote it down myself and thought about it and began to ponder it and question it. And it was such a powerful statement to me when I read it that I have to share this with you, and I'm hoping that you'll find inspiration and success out of this as well. So this poem goes something along the lines of, I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more. However, I begged at evening when I counted my scanty store. For life is a just employer and gives you what you ask, but once you have set the wages, why, you must bear the task. I worked for a menial's hire, only to learn, dismayed, that any wage I had asked of life, life would have willingly paid. And see, I read this quote and I believed it wholeheartedly, because life gives us what we ask for, doesn't it? I mean, you see it all over the world in every person. If you want to be an average teacher, you can be an average teacher. If you want to live off the government, you can live off the government. If you want to have a highly successful company and a highly successful career, you can have a highly successful company and career. So you can become whatever you set your sights on because you demand something of yourself and you demand something of life. But more often than not, there are so many people that don't believe they're worth that much. And it really does come down to a question of self-worth and an issue of self-worth, because if you don't believe that you're worth more than what you currently are, you're never gonna aspire to be something greater. You're never gonna strive for something more. And so many people get stuck in this rut because they don't believe that they have more worth than what they're currently seeing. And you see, everyone has the same amount of worth. Everyone is valuable in God's eyes, and everyone is valuable to their community, to their sphere of influence. And we all have that kind of value, but what kind of value do you bring to the marketplace? What kind of value are you creating and stirring up in yourself to bring to other people around you and to bring to the marketplace to be worth more? And most people don't realize that they can continue to expand on themselves and gain new knowledge and gain new skills, and they just think it's too hard, and so they stay where they're at and they never ask for more out of life, and yet they all want it. We all want more, don't we? Don't we want to become so much more than we are? And don't we wish and hope and think about having millions of dollars? And yet, who strives for it except for those who ask much of themselves and ask much of life? And see, it does come down to the self-worth thing and realizing that anything you want, you can have. You can ask life for that. And see, we can get dismayed by this idea of, well, I've already asked life for a penny and now I'm stuck in this rut. Well, don't look at it that way. You must bear the task, but only to completion, only to the point that you complete where you're at and bring conclusion to your current situation. But you can grow beyond that, and you can ask life for more once you realize that you're worth more. And so we may start out not asking for much because we don't feel that we have that much value, but the key is to realize that you have infinite value, you have infinite worth, and you have infinite potential to be everything you want to be if you would just set out on this journey to become more, step by step by step. And that's what I want to inspire in you today. That was what was inspired in me when I read this, is we can all be so much more than what we are. And oftentimes we ask life for so much less than what we deserve. So get out there and deserve more. Gain new knowledge, gain new inspiration and motivation, and bring more to the value, or more value to the marketplace, more value to the people around you. Be more in yourself and demand more out of life, and you can have so much more than what you have in this life already. And I would just encourage you to think on this poem the way that I have and let it inspire something in you to ask more, because most of us are in a situation where we have lots of value that we're bringing, but we don't have that mindset to ask for more for it. We don't realize that what we have is worth so much more than what we believe it is in our minds. So I want to encourage you to really think about How much can you demand for your current skill set? Because most people don't demand enough for what they already are bringing to the table in terms of value and in terms of skills and ability. And so demand as much as you ought to for what your current skill level is. But you know what? Then go beyond that and gain new knowledge and gain new abilities and gain new skills and continue to upgrade, continue to ask for more and more and more out of life. And you'll never be left in the gutters. You'll never be left wishing and wanting and hoping, because you will be achieving, you will be doing, and you will be gaining, and you will be adding so much value to the people around you and to the marketplace around you that there will be no stopping you. And so I want to leave you with this poem one more time just to think on it and ponder it. I would encourage you to write it down in your own hand and then focus on it. And then ask yourself that deep question: what am I asking of life, and what am I asking of myself? And I think if you ask those two things, you will continue to aspire towards greatness. You will find yourself on a journey towards something more than what you currently have and what you currently are. And you'll be providing so much more value to the people in your life, to the businesses in your life, to the companies you're surrounding yourself with. And you will become more valuable to the marketplace than you currently are. And you will realize the value you hold in God's sight. And you will realize the value you can add to the community around you and to the people in your sphere of influence. So I challenge you to ask yourself those two questions. I challenge you to write it down in your own hand and to ponder on that poem. And the poem, again, is: I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more. However, I begged at evening when I counted my scanty store. For life is a just employer and gives you what you ask. But once you have set the wages, why, you must bear the task. I worked for a menial's hire only to learn dismayed that any wage I had asked of life, life would have willingly paid. Demand much of yourself and ask life for more than you currently are. I'll leave you with that thought. Thank you for watching. And again, I'm Makai Block, and this is Limitless North.